This is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Keychron K1 wireless mechanical keyboard from Keychron, and this is version 4 of that keyboard. As you'll see, this is the one with the white backlighting, and there is another one available with RGB backlighting. It also comes with another different switch options, and is available in both TKL 87 key layout, as you can see here, and the full-size 104 key layout as well. Now this keyboard is very affordable, and I purchased it because I wanted to see how it would stack up against my favourite keyboard of all time, the Logitech G915 TKL. And that's because this is a very affordable alternative and yet appears to offer a number of really nice highlights to it. Has a nice looking design to it, for example, as you can see straight away. Also has a really solid aluminium finish on it, and a nice setup that includes a choice of Gateron reds, browns or blue switches with a low profile design. The reason I wanted a low profile keyboard is the same reason I wanted it on the G915 TKL. That low profile design sits really low to the desk, which makes it comfortable to use. Also with the Gateron red switches that I'll be showing off in this unboxing video, very quiet and comfortable. There are, however, some complaints that I'll talk to you about later on, but this is an interesting device nonetheless, especially for the price. So this is an unboxing video. I'm going to be showing you what you get in the box, which is obviously the keyboard, the USB-C cable, some keycaps, and a keycap puller as well. Now it's worth noting that this is sort of pitched as being compatible with all devices. It's designed to work with both Windows and Mac, but also said to work on Android as well. I'm using it on Windows PC, and you have the keycaps included in the box to switch between Mac sort of layout and PC layout, so that's quite nice, as well as a couple of other choices. For example, the escape key and the lighting key you can swap out for these orange keys, which I think gives a nice accent to it. You're seeing a low profile setup here and some very nice key switches. Now I'm going to show you a bit of a sample of a typing test later on in the video, but I'm also going to link to a video which is fully dedicated to just typing in the description. So if you want to hear how this sounds without me talking, then you can check that video out. One of the things that I found interesting is the color differences between the keys. If you look at the very edges, this wasn't immediately obvious, but if you look at the very edges, things like tab, caps lock and shift on the left hand side, and on the right hand side delete and enter and shift and those keys, they are a slightly darker grey than the ones in the middle. It's not that clear in the video footage unless you start to look really closely. You'll also notice the F5 to F8 caps are also a similar sort of darker shade. I think this is intentional. It actually adds a really nice gradient look to it. As I said, you can also swap out the escape key and the lighting key for these very bright orange ones, and I think that's got a really nice overall finish to it. Included in the box is the little cap puller, which you just hook over and then pull those off, and then you can see the Gateron red low profile switches. As I said, you have a choice of either red, blue or brown. Red is obviously preferable for gaming, but if you're a typist more, you want to use the blues, and then brown, sort of a midway point between the two. And I'll leave all the specs in the description so you can check that out. The low profile switches obviously work with the low profile keycaps. Now, as I said in my G915 TKL review when I unboxed and reviewed that keyboard, I thought the keycaps resulted kind of being a little bit flimsy looking, and I felt the same about the Keychron K1. They look like you could easily snap them if you weren't careful when removing and putting them back on again. However, during use, I haven't found any excess wobble or anything like that, and it has been very comfortable to use, but you can just see the sort of setup of them. I have noted, however, that during use I have found that the keycaps have marred a little bit from fingerprint oil and such, but it is easy to clean and it ends up looking really nice still. One of the interesting things as well of note is the gap between the keycaps, which isn't something that appears on the G915 TKL. I'm going to do a comparison video separately to show the differences between these two keyboards, because I think they're worth comparing, because the G915 is considerably more expensive, and so this one is appealing. Now what you're going to see in the top corner here, alongside me swapping out that escape key for the bolder, more striking one, is the battery logo to let you know how much battery life you've got left. This is pitched as a wireless keyboard, a low profile wireless keyboard with a really nice design setup on it. However, it isn't actually wireless. It uses a Bluetooth connection option, and I was unfortunately not able to get that Bluetooth connectivity working. There are, if you search for it, a number of different people complaining about this problem online, and there are ways around it. For example, you can hard reset it by holding function Z and J all together. Those will then hard reset the board, and you can put it into Bluetooth mode, and you can try and pair it. In theory, you can pair this with up to 3 different Bluetooth devices by pressing and hold the function key, and then 1, 2, and 3 while in Bluetooth mode. And you can see the Bluetooth button here. So there's a switch between Bluetooth and cable. You can also switch between Windows and Android with the other button. So you can switch it into Bluetooth mode and then pair it with one of 3 devices, and you can obviously then easily, in theory, connect between them. But I could not get it to connect to my PC no matter what I did. I made loads of different changes to it, made sure my Bluetooth drivers are up to date, reset the keyboard, did all sorts, but I could not get it to connect, and I couldn't get it to connect to other devices as well, which is obviously frustrating because that means now essentially all I've got is a wired keyboard and not a wireless one. Bluetooth obviously isn't going to be low latency anyway, so for gaming use it's probably better if it's plugged in. Bit of a frustration though if you're going into buying a keyboard expecting it to be wireless and it actually ends up not being. However, obviously being plugged in, you have the benefit of just endless battery life and you don't need to worry about the battery. But I cannot give you any review on how long the battery will last because I wasn't able to use it like that. So that's one thing to know almost immediately in this review. Unfortunately, I can't tell you about that because I couldn't get it to work. However, what you're seeing though is that there's a very nice setup here. It's a really nice looking keyboard. The thing I was struck by when I got it out of the box, as well as it has a decent weight to it, the aluminium backplate feels really sort of high quality and solidly built. It feels like a really good bit of kit for the amount of money you're paying. It's quite an affordable keyboard by all accounts compared to more expensive flagship and premium devices out there from other brands, and yet you're getting a really good setup from it. You can see you also have some functionality in the function keys. You can adjust the screen brightness on your monitor with F1 and F2 when holding the function key down. You can adjust the brightness of the keycaps with F5 and S6. You can have some media playback controls with F7 to F12 in terms of volume and everything else as well. And there are other options too. So there's a really nice setup there and lots of interest in it. Now here you can see the keycaps, and I'm comparing it alongside one from the Logitech G915TKL. You can see there's a slight difference in the layout of that, and that's probably down to the Gateron switches that are underneath. So if you do want to buy your own keycaps, you'll have to find ones that will fit Gateron low profile switches, which I'd imagine are few and far between. I've not managed to find any in my travels. However, these keycaps are nice, and these close-up shots of it, you can see what I was talking about a bit more, about the outer edges being a bit darker than the sort of center, which leaves a really nice gradient look to it. The stabilizers are also quite nice, and you can see there's a reasonable amount of quality here. I think keyboard enthusiasts might turn their nose up a little bit. However, as a sort of average user of keyboards and gaming keyboards, I found it satisfying to use. It certainly ticks the boxes that I wanted in terms of being quiet and comfortable to use throughout the day. That's an important part of a keyboard for me, is not being super loud. So if I'm doing something like capturing footage or streaming, and I want it to be quiet and easy on the ear and not get picked up by the microphone. So here's a little typing test to show you what that sounds like. And it's probably hard to do it justice in a video like this, but I have found it to be very quiet and comfortable as well. One thing I'd like is the keys to be a little bit close together. I found that sometimes your fingers slip off the edge of them, and that's just the difference between what I'm used to. However, the response has been really good. The actuation is really good too. These have an actuation force of 50 grams and a pre-travel of 1.5 millimeters. They're linear key switches, and they're designed to be quiet, as I said. And you can obviously go for louder ones with the blue or the brown if you want clicky or tactile response instead, but this is my preference. fast actuation, but quiet and easy on the ears. Now, I also bought a wooden wrist rest from Keychron. This is actually not designed for this keyboard, but I wanted to show it off. This is a wooden palm rest that's designed for the K8 and the C1. It's ever so slightly too tall for this, but I thought it really looked nice and it might look interesting, and perhaps I could use it for other keyboards that I'm going to be reviewing and testing out in the near future. And I thought it was a nice little addition to it. It's an additional purchase that you can get off their website. So I was just curious to see what it would be like, but as you can see, it just sits a little bit too high off the desk to work with this keyboard, unfortunately. So if you are thinking about buying a wrist rest, this isn't the one. However, it's a very nice addition to it. Now, I've been using this keyboard for working throughout the day and for gaming, and I've found it very comfortable, easy on the ears, not too obnoxious, and great fun to use. Obviously, the main downside is that lack of Bluetooth connectivity for me. You do have to have it plugged in, but it is still great. Now, a little bit on the lighting. There are various different lighting modes that you can access really easily with a press of the button in the top right corner. There's no software, official software, for this keyboard, so you can't customize it in any way. There's no way of layering or individual per key illumination, but as you can see, there are a multitude of different keyboard lighting effects that you can get by just simply pressing that button in the top. This is surprisingly bright as well. I've captured this footage using my new light, which is extremely bright, and the room was well lit, and you can see just how bright it is by looking at my hand, for example, and yet the light shines through. And what I found actually is on max brightness, the keyboard is a bit too light. It's very bright, but obviously you can adjust that. And you can see there are a number of reactive effects that when you press a button on the keyboard, it either goes out and lights up the whole keyboard, or it lights up a particular row, or it lights up an individual key. So there's loads of different vibes you can get on this thing and ways that you can make it look really nice, and I think that's great. It's all hardware level controlled. There's no accompanying software, and there's even a note about this in the box when you open it up and look at the instruction manual, so it's worth bearing that in mind. But it's a really nice, satisfying setup. Now quickly, I just want to show you the difference in sound when compared to the G915 TKL in black and white, the clicky and tactile versions, versus the red switches on this one. I think that the Keychron K1, even with the red switches, is ever so slightly louder than the G915 TKL in white. However, it is quieter than the black one. It's also very easy on the fingers, really easy to type on, and wonderful to game on as well. So the end result is a fantastic keyboard. It's just a shame, unfortunately, it's let down by that lack of Bluetooth. It's meant to be Bluetooth 5.1. Can I get it to connect? No. I really would have liked to have seen a wireless dongle. However, for the money, this is a cracking bit of kit, and I would certainly recommend purchasing it if you're looking for an affordable, low-profile keyboard that's comfortable, quiet, and feature-rich. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions and what you think about this keyboard. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.